Yay, that's from McDonald's.
Sweetheart, you'll never guess what I got.
Big Mac fries and a shake.
I got a Corvette Stingray.
Corvette? A Corvette? You bought a Corvette?
Yeah, it's a Mattel Hot Wheels car. See?
Wow.
It's a special price with any food purchase at McDonald's.
Collect a different Hot Wheels car each day, 14 in all, at participating McDonald's.
I think tomorrow I'll buy the Jeep.
Dad's buying a Jeep?
Mattel Hot Wheels, just 69 cents at McDonald's.
How's it going, guys? Cameron here, is Canadian Gamer, coming at you with another video. Now, before we get started on today's video, and yes, I am using my shitty camcorder today, deal with it. I wanted to let you guys know, I was at a thrift store yesterday off the beaten path, and I wanted to show you a couple of cool things I saw at the thrift store. You can see here this old school red CRT TV. It didn't have the option for inputs, so I didn't end up picking it up. Otherwise, I definitely would have. Pretty cool looking TV. There was a silver GameCube. There was also an original fat model PS3, complete in box, and a couple of somewhat rare NES games at the thrift store. There was a copy of Dragon Warrior 3 for the NES, and from what I've read, there was only 90,000 of these that were printed back in the day. This game was a lot more popular over in Japan. So the thrift store had this one marked up appropriately at $110. They had a copy of Rad Racer for the NES, the original label. I think there might have been two variants for that one. And they had DuckTales as well. I wasn't sure if that game was hard to come by, but I think it's pretty common. So yeah, pretty cool to see these games at the thrift store. Now, I was able to pick up a really unusual VHS tape, Subspecies. Now, I hadn't heard of this horror movie before, but apparently there's about 4, might have been 5 in the series. The first one being this one came out in 1991, and this was straight to VHS. It was not in the theaters. And Full Moon Productions, very much a B movie. So I'm going to try to watch this one tonight. And then I'll probably put out a video talking about whether or not it's good. So, yeah, today's video, I really don't want this to be a long video. It depends on how in-depth we get. So, it's not really video game related, but in a way it is. It will sort of tie in as the story goes along. So basically, I'm going to be all over the map here as I try to recollect a lot of the things that I'm talking about. It's been so long. I want to say this might have been around 2013. At the time, I had a lot going on in my life. I'm not really going to get into it here. Some good, some bad. And I had gotten out of a relationship. I had just landed a new job. I was moving. There was just a lot going on for me at that time, at that age, in my late 20s. And at this point, I wasn't really collecting video games. I wasn't into retro video game collecting. I was a little bit. I had my 360. I think maybe that was all I had. And I can't quite remember how this came to be. I remember I stumbled upon an old box of toys from my childhood, and in one of the boxes had all my original Hot Wheels toys. So I myself, like a lot of young children of the day, if you had a sister, obviously they had their Barbies, and we had our G.I. Joes and our Hot Wheels toys and our Matchbox toys and all of our little rinky-dinky cars. So I'm looking at these old Mattel Hot Wheels toys I have, and I just remember, how much I enjoyed having these toys as a kid. And I grew up in a household that was very much, around car culture, And when I look back on these toys, I don't necessarily look at them as toys. I look at them as die-cast models. Little cars you could have on a display. And so I don't know, the next thing you know, I'm looking at Hot Wheels. I'm going into the stores and I'm noticing them. I'm noticing them at the dollar store. I'm noticing them at Walmart. And I'm noticing them at the time we had a U.S. Store that basically started opening up Targets in Canada. It didn't last long, unfortunately. Basically, it's hard for me to talk about this without. It's just there's so much to really wrap my head around. So I don't know. I guess I started going into Walmart and I started looking at the different castings. And at first, I was collecting them just for myself. I'm like, I'm going to pick up this car. I really like it. It reminds me of one that I used to have as a child. Because with Hot Wheels, they still use a lot of the original castings from 30, 40, 45 years ago. And then as I start collecting, I'm noticing there's different color variants for the same models. And then I started subscribing to different YouTube channels online that would showcase a lot of their Hot Wheels collections as well. And then the next thing you know, I started to learn more about the culture of Hot Wheels. And the more you read up on it, the more you understand a lot of Hot Wheels collecting. It's not necessarily the mother buying her son a couple of Hot Wheels cars at the store. There's a lot of grown adults out there that collect these things. It's insane. You guys think collecting video games, retro games is crazy. You haven't seen anything until you start collecting Hot Wheels. So it got to the point where I go into like a Walmart or a Target, and I'd be looking for specific cars that were considered chase pieces. Hot Wheels, oftentimes they'll release 250 cars out of their mainline series, and out of those 250, you might get a couple that are just for whatever reason harder to find. With Hot Wheels, you can actually buy. It's like it comes in like a cardboard box, and it says Mattel on it. It says Hot Wheels, and it comes with like 75 cars in it. And you open up the box, and you're gonna get like 2 or 3 of the same car in the box. So you got 75 cars as an example, but they're not all different. But people will buy these boxes of Hot Wheels. You can order them, and they don't care about the duplicates necessarily. They're looking for like chase pieces, and it's insane. And on top of that, and we'll get to it in a minute, Mattel releases what's called treasure hunt cars or super treasure hunt. So what it is within the main line of 250 cars, they'll throw in what's called a super treasure hunt, which is one of the castings in the main line, but it's just a little bit different. The tires will actually have rubberized tires like the old Hot Wheels used to have, different paint, nicer paint, complete metal casting, because a lot of the newer Hot Wheels, unfortunately, are plastic casting. So you'll get these basically chase pieces. And so once I found out about the chase pieces, the super treasure hunts and the treasure hunts and the cars that were sought after, the next thing you know, I'd be going into Target, I'd be going into Walmart. I couldn't resist going in. If I'm in the city and it's 9:30 at night and I'm driving by a Walmart, I could not resist pulling over and going in to look at the Hot Wheels. So here you have a grown-ass man standing in the aisle at 9:30 at night, going through all the pegs, pulling everything back, looking at all the different Hot Wheels, looking for the chase pieces. And I started to notice, it got to be a game of cat and mouse. You could go into a Walmart and the pegs, we call them pegs, right? That's where you hang on the cars would go on to the pegs. And they'd be all like pulled back and like all distraught. You could tell somebody had already been there. Another collector had already been there. And it started to get to the point. I knew something was wrong with this situation when I started to go into Walmart and you'd bump into other collectors within Walmart, and you wouldn't notice this unless you were a collector. If you were just in Walmart buying your groceries or something, you wouldn't even know. But I remember specifically a few times bumping into older males, like 40s, 50s, and they were there hunting for Hot Wheels. And I don't even want to say they were collectors. They were probably scalpers, to be honest with you. And so it got to the point where, it was luck of the draw. If you'd occasionally walk into a Walmart or a department store or a Target, and you'd see that there was fresh stock out. I remember one time I went into a Target, and it was like 7 o'clock in the morning on like a Monday morning, and I couldn't believe it. So they had these pop culture cars you could buy, and they were more expensive than the main line. They were like, I don't know, I can't remember, maybe $3.99, $4.99. So different movies, right? Like you'd have Grease, you'd have all kinds of different movies. Back to the Future was one of the more sought after ones. And I went into to Target one morning, and there was fresh stock. I couldn't believe it. My eyes jumped out of my head. So they had the Back to the Future, the 1987 Toyota pickup, which is extremely sought after. And they had, I knew it was a fresh batch because when you read about, this line online, when you buy the cardboard boxes I would talk about, you would get 4 of each model within the box of the pop culture lineup. So they had 4 of these on the peg. So I immediately picked up all 4 of them. I got the 3 here. They're still in their case. And I picked up a 4th one, and I cracked it open because I wanted to have one to put on my desk at work. So it got to the point where when you see a car like that on the pegs, you would not leave it for somebody else. You would grab it. And it got to the point where this became kind of an endeavor for me because I wanted to keep a lot of these cars and save them for that time eventually when I go to sell them when they go up in price. And it's already happening now because I paid less than $5 a car for these. And now these are going upwards of $100 a piece, complete in box. I'm not lying. You can look it up yourself. These are more sought after than the main line. And then I can't remember where I picked this up. It might have been Walmart. Again, I picked up the Time Machine. I picked up 3 of them. You can see here, complete in box. And I have no intentions on opening them. They're put away as an investment, even though I love Back to the Future. They're put away as an investment. This is hundreds of dollars you're looking at here if you can wrap your head around it. So there's different castings. This was the Cool Classics line. It didn't last very long. It wasn't popular enough, but it came in a special Spectra Frost paint, and this is the Datsun Bluebird. This is 27 out of 30. So again, now pretty sought after as well. And then one time, this was like the only time I found a treasure hunt. This isn't a super treasure hunt. And you have here, it's like a Ford Fiesta, treasure hunt model. Hard to find. And then again, you go onto the main line, and within the main line, there's a lot of pop culture cars you could get, like the Homer Simpson, or at least one of the vehicles from The Simpsons. You can see that there. Main line's not incredibly hard to find, most of the cars. This is the same vehicle, the Time Machine, but this is from the main line. So, it definitely became an addiction. It was a rush when you'd go into the store and you'd see fresh pegs full of Hot Wheels. And literally, you'd be standing there and you'd be pulling them back one by one, trying to find the super treasure hunts, because the treasure hunts and the super treasure hunts are the ones that are basically worth the most money. But there was a lot of other cars too that you'd be looking for at the same time. And then sometimes, like I know, like when you go into Walmart, in the middle of the aisles, you have these Hot Wheels bins, these huge bins full of Hot Wheels. And it's a pain in the ass for collectors because you literally have to take all the Hot Wheels out of the bin so that you're not shuffling around and missing other ones that could be. Like, the only way to really get through the bin is to take all the cars out, if that makes sense. And I remember I saw somebody do that one time. I went in to look at the Hot Wheels at Walmart, and some guy was standing there. He had an empty shopping cart, and I kid you not, and he was taking the Hot Wheels one by one out of this big bin and putting them into the shopping cart, going through them all, trying to find all the chase pieces, all the treasure hunts. And then once he was done, he would take all the Hot Wheels and put them back into the bin. And I can remember rubbing shoulders with other collectors, and we wouldn't speak a word to each other, but we knew why we were there. And I remember there was like a sense of territorialism, if you will, if that's the word I'm looking for, where you're trying to look at the Hot Wheels, but the other guy, he has like a bubble around him. And if you get too close to him, he's like, you're in my space. Like, I was here first. I'm looking at these Hot Wheels on these pegs. I know this sounds crazy, but this is a true story. This is really what happened. And so after a while, like this went on for a couple of months, I had to stop because it just got to be too much. I was spending way too much of my time Hot Wheels collecting and hunting. I was stopping in at various department stores on my way home from work, on my way to work, on my lunch hour. It got to the point, because they sell Hot Wheels everywhere, right? So it got to the point where I was just looking for them way too much. They also take up a lot of space as well. But there's just so many things from a collector's perspective, and we'll get into it at the end of the video. I'll show you some examples. But it's just an insane hobby. There's so many different variations, packaging variations, color variations, misprints, you name it. There's so many online forums dedicated to Hot Wheels. It's an incredible rabbit hole to go down. I definitely went down the rabbit hole, and I guess I kind of got out at the right time. So I have some cars I'm sitting on that are getting close to a decade old, and they're really starting to appreciate. And I could have kept collecting, but at what point do you stop? The next thing you know, you're gonna have a scene right out of a hoarder's house. You have to imagine there's in the main line, which is the line that most people collect. That's the generic mainline cars like this, the blue packaged variant. There's 250 cars Mattel releases a year, and it's seasonal based. So let's say in January they released the 250 castings, right? A couple of months later, they'll reissue all of those castings again, but they'll change the color variants. And then they'll do it again, and they'll do it again. So throughout the year, really, you're looking at like 1,000 different variants of Hot Wheels. It's insane. So to this day, I still collect Hot Wheels, but not like I was. What I'll do is if I'm at the store, if I'm at the supermarket and I see them, I'll take a quick look. If I see something that really piques my interest, I'll pick it up for me. I'm no longer buying it necessarily as an investment per se. I guess eventually I will sell them, but I'm not investing the time into it like I was, because these cars are really appreciating, but man, like I can't even tell you how much time I spent hunting for a lot of these cars that I have here. So the main takeaway is it's not just with Hot Wheels, but there's a lot of these collectors and hoarders and resellers that will go into Walmart, and they're looking at the other toys too. They're looking at the Barbie dolls, pretty much anything pop culture related. The Funko Pops is a big one as well. And again, unless you're a collector, unless you're going into these stores religiously, and you're just in Walmart shopping around or Target, you wouldn't even know what was going on. But like I said, I walked into Walmart and started bumping into other collectors in the middle of the night, or I'd go into Target at, like I said, 7 in the morning, and you'd see someone else there, and they were looking at the cars as well. It was just mind-blowing to see that. It's just crazy, this culture that is out there, this car collecting culture, pop culture, you name it. So yeah, so what I'll do now, the last part of the video, I'm going to flip the camera around, and I'm going to show you guys the bulk of my collection and show you guys what I mean about different variants. And hopefully you guys find this somewhat interesting. I know this video is dragging on. So anyways, guys, check this out. All right, so I'm going to quickly show you guys my complete unbox collection of Hot Wheels here. I don't want to spend too much time, but this was one of the castings I picked up way back in 2013 when I started collecting here. Honda Civic, 1991, very iconic car. So it came out in red. It was a very popular casting, and then midway through the year they came out with like a variant of the color, right? So as you can see, I've got several of them here. And then we've got this one, a Datsun Bluebird. This was extremely popular when it came out, and this was a chase piece as well. You could get this as a super treasure hunt with, again, the rubber tires and nicer paintwork, metal casting. I never did find that chase piece, but I did pick up a couple of these from the main line. And this was a subline. Superman vehicles. They weren't very expensive at the time. So as you can see, I've got the collection. You could pick these up at the dollar store back in the day. And then you can see again the Back to the Future castings I have. This was part of the pop culture line, and these are typically not ones that a child would play with. I guess it could happen, but this was more for the adult collector, if you will. So again, now these are commanding a hefty coin online. And again, same goes for the Back to the Future, the 87 Toyota pickup, and I'm lucky to have 3 of them in the packaging here. This is my retirement funds I'm sitting on. And one of my favorite castings is the Morris Mini. Again, it's all metal casting. Very rare to have that in today's Hot Wheels. So you can see again, I've got 3 of them here. And then I've got this variant here, and then I've got an orange one as well. Now this one, unfortunately, I damaged it when I had put it away, but you can see the package variant. Small card, short card if you will, versus the standard long card that you'd see at the point of sale. And then I've got up here the Uss Vengeance. Not very hard to find, pretty common. And I've got one that's out of the package here, the Uss Enterprise as well. Again, a couple of the main lines of the DeLorean. Not very hard to find, but very sought after. This was one I picked up for myself, just a Porsche. Lotus, Esprit, James Bond. 18 van. Again, The Simpsons is a hot car to pick up in the main line, very sought after. When you see these on the pegs at Walmart and Target, they are picked up pretty quickly by collectors and resold at the flea market. Another one of my favorites, the Love Bug, another all metal casting. It always has been all metal throughout the years with Hot Wheels, the Love Bug. And I picked up the new 2021 variant of the Love Bug here. So you can see they use the same castings year over year, another variant, and they just changed the colors. I've got the Batmobile here from the original TV show. Again, you can see here I've got short card variant and the long box back here. We've got the James Bond Aston Martin, very sought after. Again, the Ford Fiesta treasure hunt model. Again, the cool classics model I showed you guys earlier. Again, this would have been for the adult collector. Not really a car that you'd be playing with in the bubble bath. Custom Volkswagen Beetle, all metal casting. McLaren F1. These are a couple of newer models I picked up recently. Porsche 944, Volvo V70, GMC Cyclone. The Mars Rover, a very sought after car amongst collectors. Again, don't ask me why, but it's extremely sought after. We've got the Sweet Streets ice cream van. We've got the Volkswagen Caddy. Myers Mannix. Again, you can see the little sticker on it. Oh, it's not a sticker, but commemorizing 50 years of Myers. Again, somewhat collectible amongst enthusiasts. The Cool Combi. Now you can see I damaged the corner of this packaging. It might have been like that when I bought it, because they sit on the pegs, like I said, and other customers are thrashing about. But this is a line that I've collected for a long time, the Cool Combi. Very hard to find. And this is one I picked up. It's a Matchbox car. Again, this is actually a chase piece as well. I picked it up at Toys R Us when they were liquidating a couple of years ago, and I was very lucky to pick this one up. It's very sought after as well. It's a chase piece. So let me show you guys my loose cars, and we'll wrap things up. Alright, so I'm not going to bore you to death with all these models, but yeah, I'm a sucker for Porsche. Anytime I see any of the mainline Porsche models, I always have to try to pick them up. I can't help it. You know, I've got a couple of Ferraris here. You know, I've got the Lotus Evora, Lamborghini, Dodge Viper. Yeah, we've got a couple of nice ones here. A couple of Lamborghini variants, Pagani. So they have nice details. You can imagine if you did have kind of like a structure, kind of like, you know, people have with their trains, miniature trains. You could really, you know, put these. The idea is to create your own world. If you had like a big basement and you could do it up, and you could put all your cars in the garage and on display. A lot of collectors actually do that with their Hot Wheels collections. Just to show you guys how hardcore collectors are, the different variants. So you've got the Mars Rover from 2013 right here, and then you've got the brand new one here, 2022. The exact same castings. You'd be hard pressed to really tell the difference, but there are. Mainly the color of the tires, they're slightly different from model year to model year. So there's a lot of little things to look out for if you're a collector of Hot Wheels. There's a lot of hardcore collectors that will pick up on these minute, small details. Alright, so I'm going to try to wrap this up here. I want to bore you guys. A couple of BMW variants, retro, old school BMWs. Another variant here. Pop culture. Angry Birds, very popular back in the day. My Cool Combis right here. Couple of DeLoreans, base model, not Back to the Future. Couple of variants. Some more variants here. Skyline GTR. Pop culture. Couple of color variants of this transport truck as well. And I'll show you guys the rest of these bins and we'll wrap this video up. So we'll start here. You know, there's a lot of collectible Hot Wheels too that are released in different territories and different countries. This is a Happy New Year 2012 Hot Wheels. It's got kind of like a champagne bottle on it, so a very obscure variant, if you will. I think I picked that up at a flea market. Great place to pick up Hot Wheels. This one's got kind of like a surfboard on it. It's pretty cool. You don't see that very often. I do have a couple of more cool classics in here, like I talked about earlier, with the special paint. You can see this one here. And you can also see, let's take a look here. That's another one right there. So I'm not going to go through all these cars. You know, some of them are more unique than others. This one was a, this is just a blue, this is just a standard model that was in the main line, but you could get this as a super treasure hunt, and it was highly sought after when it came out. Now, these are my original cars from back in the day when I was a child, from like the early 90s. So I think a lot of these would probably resonate with any of you that are about my age that had Hot Wheels back in the day. But they don't make, obviously, the Hot Wheels like they used to. Back in the day, they're pretty much all metal casting. I think you can see this old Ford Mustang, but these are beat up because I obviously played with them as a child. Some of them have color changing paint. When you put the car in water, it would change color, kind of like this one here. So yeah, lots and lots and lots of stuff to talk about as far as Hot Wheels collecting is concerned. And this is my last bin here. And again, some of these castings Mattel still uses to this day. This one would be a prime example. Even to this day, you can still get this casting. And you know, a lot of these old castings, these are really old, guys. So yeah, so that's it for this video. I just wanted to highlight you know, my experience collecting Hot Wheels, the dark path that I went down, but I was able to make it out and obviously be able to put out this video here. So I know this video is not for everybody, but I just wanted to really highlight you know, how serious an addiction can be when it starts out as an innocent hobby collecting, and then, you know, next thing you know, it turns into this. So anyways, guys, for those who stuck around to the end of the video, thanks so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and until next time, have a good night.